My faith started when I was 12 years old, when I went forward, as we did in those days, to an altar and committed myself to Jesus Christ. And that faith has carried me through my life and has never let me down. And I have been blessed with having, my last two churches have been wonderful sources of spiritual growth. Earlier this year, I went through many, many months of very serious illness. And I woke up one morning totally depressed because I couldn't get on top of this thing. And I went to my office and worked on my computer. And when I came out, I looked out the window and the sky was all yellow. So I opened the door so I could see the east side of town to see if I could see the sunrise. And the sunrise was gorgeous. And I stood there in awe, literally in awe of the sunrise. And as I came then outside to look a little better at it. And when I did, it was as if a voice said to me, Pat, the God that is directing that beautiful sunrise is the same God that's taking care of you. And it restored my confidence, and my depression was gone, and I was able to go through my day with no problems. It was a wonderful experience. I am not just trusting you, I am totally dependent upon you. Without you, I might not make it through my day, because I have had 3 unexplained serious falls, and the only thing that keeps me going is each one of them I have been able to recover from. And I just know many times if I get up and I'm wobbly, I will say, Lord, you take over, help me with this step, and he does. And I'm able to continue. At Spring Arbor, I learned, first of all, to study. I was a good student in high school, but I wasn't challenged to that extent. And at Spring Arbor, we're surrounded by other students whom I dearly loved and still love. I was able to learn to study so that when I transferred to the University of Michigan, I did it with absolutely no academic problems. First of all, we were raised in an evangelical church that everything was a sin, everything. And my mother approved my going to Spring Arbor because it was a Free Methodist church. And what I learned is there are things that the Free Methodists could do that we couldn't do. Now that was not good, but it did give me some freedom. And I learned from there that the narrow path in which I had been raised was not necessary. That there were things far more important than the externals. And Spring Arbor played a big role in that. I took Pauline epistles at Spring Arbor under Dr. Edmund Snyder, and I loved it. I loved Bible study. And the first test that we wrote, I wrote the best test in the classroom. And most of the other students were aiming at ministerial careers. And I'll never forget, Dr. Snyder came in. He was a fairly quiet man, and he said, I am ashamed of this class. You all think you're going to be pastors, and yet one little girl in this class has written a better exam than all of you. So that was one of the things that I still remember. I always have enjoyed writing. When I was a kid, I played either school or office every day, and I was always writing something, never thinking about that I had any talent or anything. But I wrote a paper for Dr. Lucy Maddox in my freshman English class there, and she wrote back and said, you need to review agreement. Well, that floored me because I had excellent grammar teachers, and I didn't think there wasn't anything I didn't know at that point, you know. But I followed her advice, and I've learned so much since then. A sociology teacher wrote on one of my papers, you have a real gift for writing. And then I began to think maybe I could do something with this. And somewhere, and the Lord had to be in it, a gentleman at Houghton Mifflin heard of me, came to my school and visited me and said, we'd like you to join our author team. Well, that was a dream that I had no idea would ever come true. My aim now is to learn to write for the Kindle. Some people say, you're too old to start over, and I said, no way. I've got to keep going. So both Spring Arbor and Michigan played a role in my finding out that I could write. I like to be busy, and God gives me the strength. Many times when I'm writing, I have said, Lord, I'm drawing a blank. And I would go back to my writing, and the words would flow. That's a very simple faith, but it's important to me. Well, I think things fall into place and you begin to do something different, and yet you can see that God is in it, and you don't know at the time, but things just have a way of working out. When I left Spring Arbor, I went to Michigan and got my bachelor's degree, and I was employed at Taylor Schools in Michigan, and I taught high school there, and I enjoyed every minute of my teaching career. And I was able to influence certain students as you go through. And then I went to the community college where you had a little more freedom of influence because they were older students. And I still have letters in my files from many of my students, one of whom said, "Pat, I wouldn't be anything if it were not for you." And that makes me happy. Now, in my student teaching days, it was early in the civil rights struggle. And I taught in a school that was more than 50% Afro-Americans, and I enjoyed it. And on the last day of school, one little girl wrote me a note and said, "We never knew we were different." And that's one of the things that I really pride myself on, that I was able to make her feel that you can achieve and you can go forward. When I had my stroke, Major Maud Sullivan was the head lady at the Salvation Army here, and we were between pastors, so I had no visitation. And Maud decided that she was going to be my chaplain. And one day she came in and sat down and she said, "Pat, I don't know what it is, but God has something yet for you to do. You're going to be fine." And I've never forgotten that, because I've done more things since then than I ever did before, and things I never dreamed I could do. Well, I am active in my church. I am an elder in Mountain View Presbyterian Church, and I have served there on Christian education and a variety of things. I was able to establish, through a dream actually, a children's library at our church, and it has been a wonderful experience. My other area of mission is the Salvation Army. I'm a past president of the auxiliary, and the thrill that we get from helping so many helpless people, there's nothing that can compare to it. And so those are the two areas of ministry that I concentrate on. I picked up the morning paper, and there was a picture on the front page of a woman at a bus stop holding the hand of a little boy. The little boy looked at his mama and said, "Where are we going to sleep tonight, Mama?" And that about broke my heart to begin with. But I also thought, this shouldn't be happening in our city. We have too many resources available. And so the idea of a program where the funds would go exclusively to women and children came to mind, and Colonel Maud picked up on the idea, and it has been going ever since. Last year, for example, we gave 141 shoe certificates to needy children. The question you ask them is, what one toy and one piece of clothing would you like to have for your children? This one lady, I asked for the clothes, and she gave me that. And I said, "Now how about a toy?" "No toys, no toys." And I said, "Wait a minute, they're kids. They need toys." She said, "No, I need shoes." She went on to tell me that she had 3 children, and each children was attending school every 3rd day, sharing 1 pair of shoes. Now, if that doesn't keep you involved, nothing will. The Lord has been so good to me. I'm still here. I have a good friend that says, "You're still on the right side of the grass," so I like that expression. I am able to get around. I am mobile. My mind is clear. I have so many blessings. I'm able to continue writing with no problems. And the Lord just has blessed me immensely, and I'm very pleased. I would have not made it without my faith.